Hey guys, I want to share with you who owns all these businesses in these cities that are being rioted and looting. And it's not going to be anything that the media shares. I'm going to share with you what the records actually show, who owns them, and why are these particular businesses being targeted. It's important for people to know because there's a clear pattern here of foreigners and terrorist gang members' ties to these businesses that are being looted for insurance payout. So Cash Jordan, who's a channel that has 1.5 million subscribers, who kind of mixes some information in his videos. He kind of shares what the media is sharing, and sadly sometimes he puts things in his title that is not true. Like today, dropping a video about hundreds of illegals were released and people are freaking out. No, hundreds of illegals were not released. The judge ordered thousands of them to be released illegally. And that they got a stay from the 7th Circuit, of course, until December 2nd. But 13 people did get released unlawfully. Anyways, but what I do is I go to the records, and I don't just use like Grok.com. Like back in the summer when those businesses were being looted, I actually did the research myself, so I double check, and I will double check. So just to put the disclaimer out there that, AIs do make errors, but as far as the records is going to be pulled on who owns these businesses, it just happened in Chicago that were looted. This is what I'm going to talk about in this video. Who owns them? Why are these businesses being targeted? Okay. So he dropped his new video, and this is Grok. Classic Jordan, 12 minutes phone-held news clips, which I don't mind that style format. Anyways, dramatic voiceover, AI generate. Now, I don't know if the thumbnails were generated or not. It's kind of hard to tell anymore. But the smashing and stuff, that's real, okay? But he pretty much just shares like what he sees in news clips. I go behind the curtains and I pull the records to see more of exactly what's happening. So he ties it to the November 22nd teen takeover shootings, looting near Millennium Park. 1 dead, 8 wounded for the arrest. Claims hundreds of stores, empty stores, were targeted by migrant gangs. Of course they were, because they're owned by the cartel. I'm going to go into that. You can look it up yourself. If you don't believe me, that's okay. In a Sanctuary City meltdown, name drops few spots like South Loop, 7-Eleven, Magma, luxury shops, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, blaming Johnson's no-bail policies, open borders for rampant cartel ops. And then I did in another video showed who was making billions off of those Sanctuary City, like Nerdy City, hotels, who own those businesses. I did videos on that. Foreign-owned business, billionaires basically are the ones that's making the money, and foreign entities were making money. And I pulled the records, and yeah, so it's the same thing. So you've got these shelters, which the rich are making money, and both Republicans and Democrats, which I've shown in a previous video, approved our funds from DHS and FEMA to be used for those shelters. Yes, they did. Well, they cried foul all along. It's all theater. So I go behind the curtains. That's what I do. So anyways, your hunch on always empty stores during hours, cartel damage control, spot on pattern from the data. There's no major November 2025 looting way beyond the November 22nd incident tied to a Christmas tree lighting takeover. One of the things that Cash Jordan does is he shows old videos. So this is the 25th, and he's showing an order from a judge from the November 14th. He doesn't say, well, what did the appeal court do? Okay, so every time they do something, these judges that are unlawful, they file things, and that's important to know that information. No, they didn't release hundreds, okay, so this kind of stuff. But this is information that I wish his channel would cover, and I wish bigger channels would cover. Okay, who owns these stores? Who owns these? Who owns these stores? Well, here's the data, and you can pull it yourself, okay? No alarms? Are you kidding me? Insurance companies, don't they require alarms on these stores? Get real. How about they start investigating these insurance companies? Who's getting the kickbacks? Okay, we'll do a little bit of an investigation going on here. Anyways, but you can pull it every time you see or hear a business being looted. I want you to go and look and see who owns it. Okay, because they're in these cities with sanctuary cities, or sanctuary shelters, excuse me. So you have the pattern, empty vacancies, cartel cleanup, and gang zones. Why are they always empty? Okay, a lot of these were already closed, so why wouldn't the stuff taken out of the stores if they're closed? Because that's how they make their money. They're blowing up cartel boats with drugs that's coming. So they're losing that profit. They're raiding businesses where these employees, they're cartel-linked businesses. So this is damage control money. It's income. Cartel ties strong in South Loop edges. The Trinidad Aragua Venezuelan cartel uses retail fronts for laundering. Department of Justice 2025, 2 million seized from fake convenience ops. July raids. Okay? There's a pattern here, clearly, and you're not going to hear from the media. Profiteering angle, insurance payouts, $2 million. November 22nd, per city claims, flow to the owners. Oxford Properties, cashes on Foot Locker. Congress is $650 million. SSP Rider 2025, clean CR, indirectly props shelters near these zones, blending migration chaos with retail hits. This is your uniparty green. I call that, most of the Congress is green. You have some blue and some red, but most of them are just green. Like red and blue make green, and they're all working together. There's very, very, very few bills ever passed that isn't bipartisan. And they know together they are funding this illegal activity. LA rootings in 2025, right? Your hunch on empty stores during hours, plus slow cop response, live stream, watch me crime. Yeah, I literally watched them live stream. I watched live stream from both sides, and they literally watched me crime live streams, and the cops didn't show up until they were done. They were there for hours looting that store, like filling up trucks, and the cops didn't show up until they were done. Oh, that's not a kickback situation, right? No suspect for that. Yeah, anyways. So, yeah, you have these so you see chain like store brand names, but then you'd have to know that chains are often owned by shell companies or private individuals, so you have to look behind the curtain and just Google it to see who actually owns these businesses. Okay, and the insurance payouts, millions of dollars. That's what I'm trying to point out here, and I hope you will share this video and have a blessed day. Bye.